Hey and welcome. My name is Zach DeWeird and you are listening to the Night Sports Show. I am here joined by Caleb Bradley, Mark Vanderlucht, and Alex Vanderlaan.
Hola.
So we are about a quarter of the way through the NHL season. The American Thanksgiving is usually the mark where we think about the quarter way. So I want to start off by asking, what are your thoughts on the Maple Leaf season so far? A quarter of the way through. They're currently second in the Atlantic Division. Are you pleased with them? Are you, I don't know how you could be, but disappointed with them? Are there ways that they could improve or things that you want them to work on?
Well, the way I see the Leafs right now, if you are a fan of them, they have you trapped inside of a glass case of emotions. From the first period when the puck drops, it's an absolute nightmare, gong show, mess times a million, due to the fact that 9 out of 10 nights they get outshot to kingdom come, it feels like. Like, shots are 15 to 20 for the other team versus the Leafs 4, 5, 3, 2. The Leafs offense right now is incredibly high powered based on the fact that they haven't gotten shut out once this season. I'd say that's pretty good. That's pretty impressive. Granted, it is they are only about 25 games in, 26, 25?
A little less than 25, maybe 23, 24.
Right. So there's still time for them to get shut out. I don't want that to happen, obviously. But what their team is they are a young, up-and-coming team. There's a lot of potential for the team to be an elite team, top 3 team in the NHL. They have a lot of kinks to fix right now. Their defensive game is something that really leaves more to be desired. Frederik Andersen right now is getting overworked a little too much, I'd say. Curtis McElhinney is not a sufficient backup. He does give Andersen a night off when they are on the back-to-backs.
He gives the Leafs a big one in the yellow column.
Yeah.
Has McElhinney won a game this season?
Yes. Yeah, he has.
Okay.
I think the issue with the Leafs is games that should be won by an elite team haven't been. You've seen a couple squeaky OT shootout wins against
Carolina. I think they should have lost against Carolina.
That game probably should have been a loss.
Like the Golden Knights, the Hurricanes. They went to OT with the Bruins, and then they've lost to the Panthers. They've lost to the Coyotes. Like, these are games where you can't be giving away points, and you can't be like the Coyotes. That's a joke. The Coyotes didn't win a regular season game until their 20th.
Yeah,
regulation, but
like the weekend, like the few days before the game of the week.
If you're the Leafs and you want to consider yourself an elite team, you can't be losing to Florida. You can't be losing to Arizona. You can't be going to OT with the Golden Knights. The Golden Knights
are first in the Pacific.
Yeah.
So I don't know. At what point can we say the Golden Knights are a bad team? And what?
I wouldn't say they're a bad team. It's just you put the Leafs roster up to the Golden Knights. It's just like there's no way that game should have gone to extra time. And again, Carolina, Boston, especially Boston, team in your own division, you can't be giving away points. And I think that's an easily winnable game. Like they lost earlier in the year to St. Louis. They lost to the Kings. Like these are games that you're going to lose. But I don't think there's any way that you can let the Leafs off the hook losing to some of the teams they've lost to. And if they haven't, they're first in the Atlantic.
I don't see a way that you can be mad with how the Leafs have started this year. In fact, I'm pretty encouraged by the fact that they're second in the Atlantic at this point, despite all that they've gone through, what we've talked about already. They've been outshot. They haven't been playing their best. I think that when this team does start to pick it up and when everyone is firing on all cylinders, it's going to be scary. Like we've seen Marner went 12 games or 13 games without a goal, and he had some fourth line time. Nylander has been held without a goal.
17.
17. And Matthews has missed time. Like this team, they have some of their best players aren't performing to the level that they're certainly capable of. Even if they all tick it up 10%, it's going to be scary. And cool little fact here. Since 2011, 78% of teams in a playoff spot at American Thanksgiving made the playoffs. The Leafs are currently in second. I don't know what team that division, other than maybe Ottawa, is going to be able to pass them. I mean, the playoffs are pretty likely, but I think as Leaf fans now we're looking to see what can they do when they get in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about playoffs. I don't think anyone had even a doubt that the Leafs weren't going to make the playoffs this year. And it'll be good if they do, but eventually it's just going to get, if they're a first round exit again this year, you're going to start turning into the Raptors, where the Raptors lost to the Nets, and then they lost to the Wizards, and then they lost to the Cavs, and then they lost last year to Atlanta or something, didn't they? They just loss after loss after loss, and it gets tough to watch them. So I'm hoping for the Leafs' sake that they get a deep playoff run. They're not another first-round exit. Yes, they had an outstanding, overachieving, if you want to call it run, 7 games against Washington. I don't think anybody expected them to even hold their own against Washington, who has always been a bad playoff team, but Washington performed great in that series. The Leafs just... They didn't lose. Washington was just better. It was a great series, but if they start losing again in the first round this year, and then next year, it's going to get really... It's just the way we are now. We like the instant gratification, and if the Leafs don't get that championship in the next couple of years, people are going to kind of sway away, kind of like what's happened with the Raptors. There was a lot more hype around the Raptors a couple of years ago when they were getting good.
I think that it's still a little bit early to if they didn't get out in the first round this year, I don't think we could be mad again. This team is still so young. Their core is all in their second year. I think we're still a couple of years away from being able to call this team the Washington Capitals of this era in terms of playoff losses and that sort of thing. But I'm not once we get to the playoffs, anything on top of that is just a bonus for me this year.
Yeah, so there's a couple of guys that are young, but the guys like Van Riemsdyk, who you could say is in his prime now. How's he going to be doing in 5 years
Probably
down
won't
the
be
road?
here next year. But the Leafs have so many prospects. Are NHL ready right now. It's crazy. Their team's depth is insane.
Anderson's in his prime right now. So sure.
He'll still be in his prime in 4 or 5 years.
You think he's going to be in his prime when he's
Anderson?
34?
How old is Anderson now?
28, 29? I don't
check. Let's just get a
I
quick check.
don't think there's any way. It's not like the entire Leafs team is all on this, second year in the NHL plateau.
But their core is Anderson's 28, so 4 years, 32. I think it's reasonable to think he'll still be in his prime. He didn't take a starter's workload until he came to Toronto. So in terms of a starting goal, he's relatively not a lot of mileage on him in that sense.
You look at teams that win the Stanley Cup, they're teams whose goalie either gets extremely hot or is unbelievable. Look at the last 5 years. Teams who have won have been who? Pittsburgh, Chicago, LA. I can't remember the other one, but look at those. Quick, Crawford, Price. That's a completely... Anderson is not... I love Anderson. Seems like a good guy. Liked in the dressing room. The boys like him. The boys are laughing with him. He's not a Stanley Cup winning goalie. So that means that the offense would have to be undeniably the best team in the NHL. And I don't think that the Leafs are the best. Put it this way. I don't think the Leafs have what it takes to win a Stanley Cup. And I don't think that unless they make a drastic change, they will win a Stanley Cup in the next 5 years.
What do you think they need to add to get to that level?
I just told you, a goalie. A goalie that is...
Have you seen Frederik Andersen this year, the way he's carried that team at times? He's put them on his back. That game against Carolina, you put any other goalie in net, that's not going to be a win. Freddie came up with some huge saves. I have full confidence in that guy.
In the Crawford, Quick...
Have you seen Freddie this year?
Yeah,
have you watched any of Freddie?
I've watched Freddie.
It doesn't seem like it.
Defensive core. This defense will not win a Stanley Cup. I'm sorry, but they're laughable.
Did you see Pittsburgh's defense last year when they won the Stanley Cup?
Yeah, but it was still
when you
better
have
than
Crosby and Malkin as your 1-2 centers, you're going to win some
Fleury,
games.
who caught fire, absolute fire, and then Murray, who came in and was just classic Matt Murray. And who do we have? Anderson pulls the hamstring next game,
Hopefully he won't pull a hamstring.
Curtis McElhinney to.
Yeah, but that's with any team, though. right?
Not really. You look at Pittsburgh
name me one team that if you take their starting goalie out, they're going to be just as good.
Look at. Okay, so I'm saying with Montreal a couple of years ago,
if Price
was out, they had Talbot, who caught absolute fire.
And who's to say that Macklin or whoever their AHL goalie is? I can't remember off the top of my head. Sparks?
Fleury got out. Matt Murray was right there.
Pittsburgh was a special case for the past couple of years.
You can't just say it's a special case.
Well, it is. Name one other team that's two.
I've just named like 5, and then you looked at friggin'
Pittsburgh,
LA. Who had Quick and Bishop, and you look
not
at
anymore though. Now they just have Quick.
Yeah, but I'm saying all the teams who have won in the last couple of years have had goalies who are guys who you can fully put your trust in. And Anderson, sure, he's good, but our backup is junk. And Anderson is still. You're really loving Anderson right now, but he really is not one of the elites.
I'm just asking, have you seen him play this year? I don't know how you can say he's not an elite goalie at this point with the way he's been carrying this team. Marcy's bobbed his head over
I'm just saying, I don't think that Anderson is one of the best. I could name 5 goalies that I would rather have than him.
If he's top 6 in the league, I think that's pretty good.
I could probably name more. I would take Price over him. Quick over him, Bobrovsky over him, Murray over him. Honestly, probably Fleury over him.
Really?
The way that, probably okay. Bishop.
Bishop's the same guy that goes a backup all year last year. You'd still take him over Anderson.
Vasilevsky, the way Vasilevsky's been playing. There's 7.
I'd maybe agree with 3 or 4 on that list.
Oh, and I think I forgot about Crawford, so there's 8. He's not one of the best. You asked what I thought. I think we need better defense. I think we need better
defense,
goalie.
Certainly defense.
Better goalie, better defense. I love Anderson.
I can't be mad about it. I'm not mad
Anderson,
about our goalie.
If you could get either a plateau, like 2 guys playing at the same time, or just like a guy like Bishop. What if we had Bishop and Anderson, or just an increase like what's a guy like Beaulieu? How could that guy bolster Toronto? Because I think anything now.
The thing that the Leafs need, they don't need more 4 and 5 defensemen. They need a solid 1 or a solid number 2. They don't need more depth guys. That's the last thing they need back there.
Yeah, but do we really have that much faith in our third line pairing?
Oh, you saying
Polak and Carrick?
Borgman and Carrick most nights, but
Polak doesn't play.
Borgman and That's a Borgman and Carrick. That's a tough third pair to think.
I think the first thing they need on defense is a stud up front. But then again, Hainsey has been arguably.
Hainsey, we're talking about Ronald Hainsey here on a team that we're talking about the Stanley Cup in the same.
You can't if you're saying that Ron Hainsey hasn't been arguably their best defender this year, and he's played very well. Okay, after Riley,
it's not too tough to be the best defender on the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Have you seen Hainsey play this year? His penalty killing skills? Hainsey's the best penalty killer in the league this year.
Okay, sure, Hainsey's doing all right, but he's not a guy who's going to lead a defensive corps.
Oh no, I'm not saying
Cup.
I'm just saying you can't be putting these problems on Ron Hainsey.
I've never put a problem on Ron Hainsey. I'm just saying that I'd like a better backup or a better guy who can play with Anderson.
Hainsey was the number 1 defenseman for Pittsburgh in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Well, unfortunately, they were out Letang. I'm not chirping Hainsey. I'm just saying Hainsey also, they had Letang all year, and Hainsey is known to be that step-up leader type guy. He's been in the league. He's a veteran forever. But a guy like if you're trying to sure, Hainsey's fine, but we're talking Hainsey, Borgman, Carrick, Riley, who I can't harp on too much, but I don't think Riley's really completely stepped out of his shell either. I think he's still got a lot more potential. He hasn't put up many points. We've seen that his plus minus has never got to, I don't think, where it should be, considering the Leafs are a good team.
You see the teams that he's played on, the Leafs in the past 5 years have not been good. Riley has 17 points in 25 games.
But I think Carlson has more points than that. He's missed the first 10.
I think
Yeah, but
Carlson
that's-
has 17 as well.
Okay, but that's Carlson,
missed
though,
the
okay?
first
You
10
know what you're
games.
going to get out of Carlson. Carlson isn't...
You can't compare Carlson to Riley.
Well, we need a
There's no doubt about
Carlson, a Petrangelo, a Doughty,
No, yeah, well...
a guy who can put
Morgan, here's the thing that you're missing, though. Morgan Riley's 23 years old.
Yeah, and I'm
Eric
saying he's
Carlson
gonna
is
get better.
27. Okay,
Yeah, he's
so
going to
that's
get better for
okay.
sure.
Yeah.
But it'd be
You
nice
just got to let
get-
him develop. That's what that is. Because Chris Letang was not Chris Letang when he was 23.
I love the Leafs. I want the Leafs to do well. They're not a Stanley Cup team right now.
No.
They are 100% not a Stanley Cup team right now. And if they were to win the Stanley Cup this year, good for them. They would they'd have to hit a massive hot streak in the playoffs. I don't think that they are a Stanley Cup winner right now. And it's upsetting because I know that everyone's going to hop on that bandwagon when they are third or fourth seed in the Eastern Conference this year. And they've got home ice in the first couple rounds, and they lose to a Tampa, they lose to a Columbus, they lose to a good, strong team in the East, and people are it's happened with the Raptors. I'm just hoping it doesn't happen with the Leafs, because the Raptors could never get that one extra piece. All they needed to get, I know Durant was not going to come, but we get Durant in that offseason, the Raptors win the NBA Finals. Guaranteed.
Here's the thing that the Raptors are missing, though, okay? Kyle Lowry is a star player. DeRozan is a star player. They will never, ever be superstar players due to the fact that they can't seem to up their game in the playoffs. Superstars have that level of that extra gear of when it's go time, they turn it on.
And
Matthews has that. Marner has that. Nylander has that. Morgan Riley has that. Morgan Riley was playing the best hockey of his career. It's not much to say, okay? But he was playing arguably the best hockey of his career against the Capitals in the playoffs. When you have guys that know when it's go time, that have that second gear to go, you're going to go pretty far. Matthews has that extra gear. As the games went on in the playoffs, he was arguably the Leafs' best forward. He was, hands down. He was the guy that was counted on in the last minutes to hold down the lead or to get the lead, to get a few goals, to get whatever. All right? You saw what he did in Game 6. He scores that goal 9 minutes left in the third period. We all know what happened, though. They lost. But he's a guy that is always in the right spots at the right times to score goals.
So
you need players like that. DeRozan and Lowry are not players like that.
When is it the Leafs' time then? Is it this year? Is it in 4 years when Hainsey's gone? You guys are talking.
Well, it's
real big
when the
talk about
time is
Hainsey.
right, when they all are on the same page. Because right
But
now they are not on the same page.
See, for me, I would say their years this year. We've got the goalie who's 27.
Are you saying that because of cap reasons, or
I'm just
because
saying Anderson's 27. You guys are saying he's playing the best hockey of his life. You guys are talking about Hainsey doing the best hockey of his life. You're saying that Matthews, Marner, and Nylander are the three best players in the NHL.
Nylander's
Why not
been
go out
struggling.
and why not go out and get that star defenseman and a backup goalie and go for it all this year? If that's all they're missing, and if some of their players are only gonna go down from here, why not go for it now?
I think we could say that Marner and Nylander specifically are only going up from here with the way they performed this year.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys that are going up.
And Sidney Crosby didn't win his first cup till his fourth year. So I think that I'd put Matthews. I'd give them till Matthews, Marner, Nylander in their fourth year until I'm saying, well, this team is starting to be playoff disappointment.
So you're saying in 4 years is their time?
Like when they're in their fourth year in the league. So that's what, 2 years, 3 years from now?
So a bunch of guys are gone by then. How do we know that the Leafs are still going to?
No, their core will still be there. Those three will still be there. I think Kadri's under contract that long. Riley's under contract that long. Zaitsev is. Anderson is.
Yeah, Anderson will be in his 30s. Kadri will be in his 30s. Hainsey will be gone. JVR will be gone. Martin will be gone. Moore will be gone. Not that these guys are, all-stars, but
Easy fill-ins.
I don't know if you can say those are. If
you
Anderson's
can easily
playing
fill
the
those
best
kind of
hockey
guys
of his
in.
life right now, why not go for it now? We all know that a goalie's the most
Sure,
important.
I wouldn't be mad if they went for it now. I wouldn't be mad at all. Why not?
But
The other thing with the NHL playoffs are a whole different animal compared to the NBA playoffs. In basketball, you'd never see a team like the 8th-seeded Predators last year go all the way to the finals. That stuff just doesn't happen. In hockey, it's a lot easier for a team to catch fire and go all the way. Not saying that, that's not really an argument for either side here. I just don't think it's a fair comparison, the Leafs playoffs to the Raptors playoffs.
I'm not necessarily saying that their playoffs were the same. I just think with any team in professional sports, you need that it guy.
And Matthews isn't that it guy for you?
I don't know. I think it's important to have. I think hockey's a bit different. With basketball, you've got the one superstar. With hockey, if you've got a great guy on forward but no defense, I don't know. I don't think he can carry a team. I don't think that Matthews.
Pittsburgh last year.
Yeah, but you guys, I think you guys are kind of like Pittsburgh's defense. Like they did have Hainsey, they did have Justin Schultz. Like they had guys who had done
Justin
this
Schultz
before.
is not a defensive defenseman though. He's an offensive defenseman.
It doesn't matter if you're defensive or offensive.
It's pretty easy to get 50 points. It's pretty easy to get 50 points when you're playing on the power play with Malkin, Kessel, and Crosby. That's what I'm saying. He was sheltered heavily.
They had guys who knew what it takes. And I don't think that Borgman and Carrick and Hainsey's a different story because he's a veteran. But I don't know if like Jake Gardiner and Riley. Sure, they're good, but are these guys really going to drive you to a Stanley Cup Finals?
No, yeah, that's a fair point. I'd say it's just it comes with time and development. But the thing with Gardner though is he is what he is. We all know what he's going to do. He's going to bring you offensive specialty on the power play in the offensive zone, but he will come with his defensive lumps. He will never be a defensive specialist.
I'd just say final word for me. No chance Leafs win the playoffs this year. That's all I'm saying.
In the playoffs?
No chance they win the Stanley Cup this year.
Okay.
Playoff team. Okay. No chance that they win. They just don't have in my opinion, they don't have a Stanley Cup winning team.
Final argument.
My final word is I don't think you can say once you get in the Stanley Cup playoffs, anything can happen. Like no one thought Nashville was going to do what they did last year. I'm not saying I think they're going to win, but I don't think you can say that they're not going to win either.
I thought Nashville had what it takes though. Sure, they were an 8th seed, but they had what it took.
But then you look at Pecorine, Ryan Ellis.
Why are you making that face?
Subban,
what did Nashville not have?
Roman Josi.
They had a perfect goalie.
And their defensive core.
Oh, yeah, and I take Pecorine over him, too, so there's 9. They had Roman Josi and Subban to round out their defensive core, and although they were missing Johansson, they still had a ton of guys up front. Like, Arvidsson, Fisher, Johansson was out, but they had...
Forsberg.
There's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Sissons, they had a ton of guys.
Colton Sissons, you're saying... the Leafs' forward depth is way better than Nashville's forward depth, and that's not even a question.
Nashville's goalie's better, and their defense is better. And I would say that their offense is not that far behind with Johansson.
Nashville also swept Chicago. No one saw that coming. Did they sweep? Who did they sweep second round? Did they sweep someone second round? Either way, Nashville had such a tough road.
I don't think it was a sweep.
I'm just saying that I think Nashville had a more complete team. And I think that showed with the way that they made it the whole way. Pekka Rinne, great goalie. Plus he was really hot.
35 years old.
Yeah, but... Okay, so there's an example of a guy who maybe does go longer.
Then why are we saying Anderson can't do that?
I never said he couldn't. I'm just saying I think he's going to... Pekka Rinne was playing better when he was 27 than when he was 35. It's just... I don't think Anderson's going to be a Stanley Cup winning goalie when he's 35 years old. And you never know. Guys can catch fire. Nobody thought that Cam Talbot was going to be unbelievable for that run a couple of years ago. Could happen to anyone. We could put Curtis McElhinney in there who catches absolute fire. You never know. I'm just saying, I don't think this team needs to make a couple changes to become a playoff team, become a Stanley Cup winning team.
All right, I got one more question about the Leafs. So we know that in the recent, with Coach Mike Babcock, a lot of the media has been on what lines are going to go each day. Do you like Matthews and Marner together? Do you like Matthews and Nylander together? Do you like JVR, Bozak, Marner together? I want to know your opinion on what lines you think the Leafs should go forward because Babcock has been shuffling them a lot, and I want to see what your opinions are on that.
First off, before we talk about the lines, I think it's about time he stops shuffling the lines around. Sure, he's one of the best coaches in the world, and I'm not going to say that I know more than Babcock because the guy knows 20 million more times about hockey than I do. But just from when I was, if we connect it to like when I was playing baseball, I liked hitting in the same spot every day. You can go with you can learn your approach. You can. It's frustrating. It's frustrating when you're going in every day not knowing who you're playing with or where you're playing. And for me, like if I just saw like, oh, I'm hitting 2 today and the rest of the month, I could physically and emotionally and mentally prepare for that instead of going 2, 7, 1, 6. Like it's nice to have consistency, and you look at a line like a Ben Sagan Radulov or a Huberto Dadonov, who's the Barkov. Like you look at some of these lines that are like really clicking, and that's because they've played every single. How did I forget? Stammer, Kuch, and Nemestikov. Like these are lines that have been together from day one, and they're the lines that are producing the most points. So why are we continually shifting the lines around? I understand putting Marner on the fourth line to try something new, but constantly every day switching them around, I really don't think that is helpful for the players' consistency.
I completely agree, as it just doesn't properly develop chemistry. Being able to play with the same guy every single day, you learn where they're going to go with the puck. You learn their tendencies. You know what they're going to do. You know what they're thinking when they enter the offensive zone or when they get the puck in the defensive zone. I'd say a line of JVR, Matthews, and Marner is a line that I would love to see. I've always been a huge proponent of having your best players play with the best players. Otherwise, it's nice to balance out the scoring, but I'd say do that against the better teams. Balance the scoring. Balance your scoring lines against the better teams.
But then if you do that, then you would be switching them again, which you're kind of going I'm on both sides of it. Sometimes you need to find the right balance of which players play the best with which players. And playing the best doesn't necessarily mean producing offense. It just means when you're on the ice with those line mates, it just means that you're having the best team success. You don't need to score every single game. You just need to be able to be reliable and offensively and defensively when you're on the ice with your line mates. It's just one of those things that Babcock is trying to do. When Marner is playing with Matthews, but then he throws on Martin in there. He needs someone to muck it up a little bit in the corners because Matthews will not muck it up. Marner will not muck it up. And then with a line of JVR, Bozak, and Marner, I hate that line a lot. Offensively, it's great when you can shelter that line. But when you put that line up against a Western Conference team, it's a mess. Because Western Conference teams are known to be two-way teams that play heavy games. JVR does not play a heavy game. He does dig. He goes around the net. He digs for the pucks. Bozak does not. He floats around the net a little bit, but he's not good defensively. And neither Marner blocks shots. He back checks, but he's not strong enough defensively to be considered a defensive or to be considered a two-way guy.
You guys are gonna laugh, but I loved when it was Matthews, Brown, and Hyman. I don't know why. I thought that was the sickest line, and it seemed like they just automatically clicked. And if you put two guys like that on the wings of Matthews, then you can have a sweet second line of Nylander, Marner, and Kadri. And then a third line of Bozak, Marleau, and JVR. Like, just like that, your scoring just all of a sudden just extends. Because if your third line is Marleau, Bozak, and JVR, as Mark says, you're going to win a lot of games. And I thought the Matthews, Brown, and Hyman line it was one of those things of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They were doing fine, and I still am kind of confused as to why that line got broken up. That was just a sweet two Toronto boys on the wings with the number one draft pick. It was a cool line. I was a huge fan of it. I don't really know why it switched. And for me, you keep a guy like Nylander or Marner off Matthews' line, it only extends your depth. And for me...
Well, because Nylander or Marner, they drive their own lines. They can. They have the ability to. And Matthews is a franchise player, so no matter what line or line mates he plays with, He's going to drive the possession.
Yeah, and maybe Marner and who were we just talking about? Marner and
Nylander.
They could actually hurt each other's games. I don't know if they're too similar.
Well, yeah, because they're
player,
puck possession guys.
But you put one on the second, you put one on the third. I just liked the Brown Matthews Hyman line.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think there was anything wrong with that line, and I thought that only extended. Like Hyman and Brown, I always thought Hyman and Brown were just magical together. And Matthews on that line, he loved both of them. You could tell they were all buddies. I saw nothing. I saw a lot of chemistry, and I saw productive. They weren't getting scored on all the time.
No, well, they're two-way responsible, and they can put the puck in the net because Connor Brown, he is a very special player based on the fact that he's a guy that you can put on line 4, line 3, line 2, and line 1, and you know what he's going to do. He's defensively responsible. He's offensively responsible. You put him on the PK. You put him on the power play. You put him wherever. You could put him on defense. I guarantee he would do his job.
Connor Brown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can put him literally anywhere in the lineup.
Agree.
And then with his contract is absolutely amazing. Like, are you kidding me? 3 years, and it's $1.95 million. Are you kidding me? That's a joke.
I don't think anyone thought he was going to turn out the
unbelievable.
way he did. He's just been a solid, consistent player.
And he's a 6th-round pick.
Yeah, I don't think anyone thought he was going to.
The guy has 50-point potential. Like 50.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And you stick him on a line with Hyman and Matthews.
Oh, absolutely.
50-point potential.
Well, in an interesting thing though, when Connor Brown was playing the OHL, his final year on Erie, the coaches voted him as the smartest player in the Western Conference. That's pretty impressive, Like, he's a smart player. He knows what line mates to play with and how to play with them. When he's playing with Martin, he's going to muck it up. But when he's playing with Matthews and Nylander and Bozak, he's going to be playing skilled. He's going to be playing a skilled game. That's the sign of an incredible player with an incredible contract. Because the biggest question is, what's better, Connor Brown or his contract?
Both.
I have a few thoughts on the situation now. First of all, I'm with you guys that he shouldn't be switching the lines, but at the same time, they did need to make a change to try to get a spark going. I hope that he finds lines that he likes and sticks with them, because every game is too much, but I can see why he did it. Second, I like seeing Matthews and Marner out there together. They look like they're playing well. They're buddies. Not to say that Matthews and Nylander wasn't working, but that's something I think a lot of Leafs fans have wanted to see. Marner's more, my opinion, a more creative player than Nylander and can set up Matthews in ways that Nylander couldn't. Matthews is sniper, scores the goals, and Marner's going to set him up.
Does Matthews need to be set up? There's a lot of goals he does completely just.
It's nice to have someone to help you. And
do we need that guy on that line to when he can do it by himself? Why can't we put Marner on the second line to set up Marleau?
Or we could have him setting up Matthews. I
don't think Matthews needs that. I think he's too complete of a player to need a little guy beside him.
That's not he needs it. It's just what Mark was saying. Why wouldn't you put your best players playing together?
And I've never been an avid fan of that.
Well,
I think that
in
Crosby,
this situation,
you just see it with Chicago. Taves has never played with Kane, and
but Taves isn't an offensive player though.
Yeah, but you're saying best player with best player. That would be it. Okay, so you're going against
Taves and Kane play together quite often.
On the power play, yes, but their lines they don't.
Well,
play
also
together.
in the final minutes of a game when they need a goal.
Yeah, but they're not on the same
They are
line.
the kill switch line
And
mates.
you don't see Crosby playing with Kessel. You see him playing with Gunsel and Sheary. And
see Malkin playing with Kessel.
Well, you're not going to stick Kessel on the third line. I'm saying Gunsel, Sheary, and Crosby, to me, is the exact same as Matthews, Brown, and Hyman.
Okay, yeah,
and
absolutely.
Look at how that's going for the Penguins, because then they can put the Kessel and Malkin on the second line.
No, but you know why though? You know why that Crosby and Malkin don't play together often? It's because they both need the puck to be successful.
And
they're puck possession players.
Exactly, and that's why I can't see Marner and Matthews being peanut butter and jelly.
No, yeah.
Because in my opinion, just look at that. Just a perfect example. We all watched Game 1 against Ottawa in year 1 for Matthews. 3 of those goals were completely just him just skating around at Carlson and everyone on the team and scoring himself.
Yeah. Yep.
And look at all his OT winners where he skates down the wing and he just snipes one top corner. Like, Matthews is not the JVR Marlowe type where he sits in front of the net and just taps him home. Like, JVR is known for just putting his stick on the ice,
Screening
and just
the goalie,
tipping it through the
Yep.
That's just all JVR does, and you see it with Marlowe too. Like, Matthews is not that guy. So to stick a guy like Marner, who's gonna.
So why don't we just stick Matthews out there with Martin and Soshnikov next game and see what happens? Maybe he can drive their offense for him.
Martin and Shoshnikov.
Yeah, you're saying that Matthews doesn't need players around him.
Hyman and Brown. I'm not saying to stick him on with two grinders. Not that Shoshnikov's a grinder, but I'm not saying playing with Dominic.
The stats show that last year Matthews was significantly more productive with Nylander on his wing than Connor Brown. I got it up right here. And it's really not even all too close.
But then what happened to the other lines then?
I'm just looking at Matthews with Nylander and Hyman versus Matthews with Brown and Hyman, and with Nylander, their line was significantly better.
Yeah, so if that's fine. How many more points was it?
I'm not looking at points. I'm looking at puck possession wise here.
Okay, well, puck possession wise, that's
you
not
need
really
possession to score.
Here's what Alex. Here's what Alex didn't point out though is defensively, Austin Matthews, Connor Brown, and Hyman are better.
Oh, I would have no question about that, and I don't think you can say that puck possession.
Is Matthews on the team for his defense or his offense? I think
he's a center. Centers are known to have.
He's on the team for both.
Yes.
But you can't say that he's just an offensive player.
No, he's not just an offensive player, but even if you take that into consideration, their line was still so much better.
Okay, Alex, get some points, get some numbers. We can't be talking about puck possession.
Why?
Because to me, puck possession, obviously they're going to have more puck possession because Marner is a guy who is known for his puck possession.
You need the puck to score. They need the puck to score. The more time they have puck possession in the opponent's end, they're going to score more.
Points.
I don't know where to find that. This is what I'm looking at right now.
I think puck possession is completely an invalid stat.
Bring it up a lot. We're playing shell.
If you get points, then that shows production.
Yeah, but possession shows what should be happening.
If they had 10 more points on that line, I could guarantee that the other lines would have suffered at least 10 points because you're putting Marner and Matthews on the same line. I'm just saying Connor Brown, Hyman, and Matthews did fantastic. And that gave you the versatility.
Nylander and Hyman did even better.
Nylander or Marner?
Sorry, Hyman. Nylander, Hyman, Matthews.
Why? I'm just with. Are you saying that Kessel should go on the first line with the Penguins then?
I haven't looked into that.
The same. Well, you don't really have numbers for points.
I wouldn't say that Marner and Kessel are the same kind of player. In fact, they're pretty opposite in terms of Kessel's more of a sniper. Yeah, Marner's more of a playmaker.
Would you not say that
Kessel's passing skills are underrated? But
would you not say that Hyman, Brown, and Matthews is the same situation as Gensel, Sheary, Crosby? Is that not identical situations?
I'm seeing too much of the Penguins play lately, but I don't think that Sheary's. I think is Sheary more of a speedster? Am I right on that?
Sheary putting up 80-point seasons? No, of course not.
No, but Hyman and
Crosby's not held back with skill.
Oh no, he's not. But
should we really? You say put the best players on? That'd be Malkin, Crosby, Kessel first line.
That wouldn't work because two of those guys are centers.
You see it change all the time. Druin's a center now. He's a left winger.
He shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Well, Marner was a center in junior, was he not? And now he's a winger. They changed him to a winger just so that he could play with Matthews.
You're not going to put Malkin on the wing. That's
okay,
just...
but you could. Yeah, I'm saying that Marner was a winger and they're a center.
You could also put Matthews with Martin and Soshnikov. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm talking about.
But Marner is a winger, and
no, he was a center when he played.
But he's been a winger ever since he came to the NHL. He's been a winger.
Well, then you could just change Malkin.
Because Malkin's been a center for what? How long has he been in the league? 8 or 9 years
Marner
now.
Was
You're not going to change
for
Malkin.
18 years until he came to the NHL.
Yeah, and ever since he's played professionally, he's been a winger.
It does not matter that ever since.
Kind of does.
No.
In the NHL, he's never spent time as a center. I don't know how Marner being a winger and Malkin being a center is at all can just be interchanged. You're saying that line wouldn't work if Crosby, Malkin, and Kessel because Malkin's not a winger. But I just told you that Marner was a center. Marner is a winger right now. When you go on his player page, it says winger.
Malkin's a winger too.
But he's not. He's never been a winger in the NHL. I don't know how.
Marner had never been a winger.
How is this even an argument? Mitch Marner is a winger in the NHL. Kenny Malkin is a center in the NHL.
Let's play our 3 best players. That would be Crosby, Malkin.
Let me clarify: our 3 best players at their respective positions.
And going into the NHL, Marner would have been a center.
But he's not. He's not right. He hasn't been a center for the past 2 years.
Okay, your argument's invalid.
No, it's not. Your argument doesn't make any sense.
All right, we're going to take a break.
Marner's
just cool off a little bit.
It's completely invalid.
Okay,
We'll be back in about 5 minutes. We're going to play some Monster Truck. We'll be back in 5 minutes to talk about some baseball, maybe some more hockey. This is the Night Sports Show. Welcome back. This is the Night Sports Show. And we've just talked for about 40 minutes about hockey and about the Leafs and their lines and what have they been doing during the first quarter of the season. We're going to go into baseball now. And yes, I know it is November the 26th, and we're still about 80 days away from spring training. But it's about time where the free agent market kind of gets a little hotter. People start talking about where each free agent's going to go. So we're all Jays fans here. I want to know, first off, what are we going to do about Josh Donaldson? He's an unrestricted free agent. He can leave next season. Do we sign him now? Do we just let him play and leave? Alex, you said...
Ideally, they would trade him, but if they don't end up trading him, I can't see a reason why they should re-sign him with their current team.
Can't see a reason.
They're not going to win for at least the next 5 years. Can we agree on that? They're not.
No, I disagree.
They're not going to be a contender?
No, I disagree.
Okay, how do you figure?
I figure that their farm system is rinsed.
Exactly.
They have absolutely
so
nothing
they're
in the
not
farm
going to be able
system.
to contend.
So for the next 2 or 3 years, if they could put something together to do something, that would be their only time. Because otherwise, they're done for the next.
So you
10.
agree that they don't really have a chance at winning in the near future?
With their team now, no.
And
but I think with a couple additions, I definitely think that they could. An increased bullpen, a couple. Like I saw that Pfister went to Texas today. Like that would have been a great guy to have.
Doug
at the back
Pfister
end
ERA around 5 last year.
It was 4.20, but I don't know. Would we rather have Pfister or who's our fifth guy now?
I'd rather have
Pfister.
I don't even want to talk about it. He's a long reliever.
I think a couple bullpen ads.
I think they're pretty far away from being a playoff team.
A couple better seasons from the guy like Tulowitzki. I saw him about 4 games this year.
Yeah.
Russell Martin was kind of subpar.
The guys are all on the wrong side of 30.
Subpar. Kevin Pillar was kind of the only guy that was kind of okay, but his offensive stats still weren't good enough to be a leadoff hitter. A couple guys have a couple better seasons. Get 1 or 2 more pitchers in here. Get a couple relievers. I don't think they're not a playoff team.
I think that's banking on a lot. And
Not really. Get a pitcher, a reliever, and the guys have better seasons.
Then give it this year and see what happens, and then make your decision. But right now,
we're just wasting time.
Donaldson,
We got Josh Donaldson.
He's not.
I don't think guys are just going to be like, let's just play 162 games and see what happens. Doesn't matter. 162 games.
Well, I'm saying before we see if this team is good enough to be a playoff team, because I really don't think they are.
They did it last year.
With a much different team and a much younger team. These guys are all 2 years older. These guys are all 2 years older. They were incredibly healthy that year they made the playoffs. Historically healthy.
What do you mean a lot younger? Were you that much younger a year ago?
Think about how much you've changed in the last 2 years.
Where are you getting 2 years from? They were in the playoffs.
Okay, but by the time the next season rolls around, it's going to be...
I remember when I was 13 months younger, I was just a whole different guy. My skill sets were completely different.
Their pitching staff was historically healthy, and that's not going to happen again.
Historically healthy?
Hap, Stroman, Sanchez, and Estrada all didn't get hurt all year.
Sanchez wasn't even in the rotation.
I'm talking when they made the playoffs. They didn't get hurt all year, and that's the truth, and that's not going to happen again.
How do we know?
Okay, it's very, very unlikely to happen again.
That none of them are going to get injured.
Okay, but we're supposed to be talking about Donaldson right now, so let's turn it back to that. On the other hand, we have a 31-year-old third baseman who's
31. The guy's ancient.
Okay,
put him in a coffin.
No, he's not ancient, but he's going to be demanding a 7 or 8 year contract,
which he should.
He should, and he
certainly
deserves that. No question. He's been an amazing player. However,
8 years, $200 million. Sign him right now. Just kidding. I wouldn't sign him for that.
Please don't. Please don't.
But 8 years, 150, 160, absolutely.
That's not going to fit. This team isn't able to compete, and so why would we be spending all that money on an aging player when Josh Donaldson is 38? He's not going to be worth the $20 million he's getting, and that's
it'd be a steal for the next couple of years.
For the next 2 years, then you have 6 years of a liability.
I would not call Josh Donaldson a liability.
I'd call a 35-year-old Josh Donaldson a potential liability.
Really?
35? Yeah.
So Josh Donaldson's just going to be a completely different player.
He's not going to be a completely different player, but there's no way he's going to be on the level he is right now.
Well, obviously, that never happens. But
why would we want to be paying him $20 million when he's... It's like... why would you want to pay him $20 million?
Batista hit 45 home runs when he was 35.
Yeah, well...
You don't just turn into like a
different
raisin
players.
grandpa. You're not just a weird mutant ninja.
No, I'm not saying he is. I just
when
don't.
you turn 35, he can still play.
Okay, so that's 4 years. Then what about the last 4 years? What when he's 38, 39, we're paying him $20 million a year? How's that going to look?
Why the heck do I care about 2025?
Well, because we're all still going to be around, I hope. And this team isn't going to win a World Series this year.
It sounds like we're all going to die at 37.
We're not going to die at 37, but we're not going to be the same. The guys aren't going to be the same athletes.
40 home runs when he was 41.
But you can't tell me Big Papi and Josh Donaldson are the same kind of player.
Yeah, Josh Donaldson actually plays in the field and actually
which is only going to get worse with age as well.
Actually, is a guy who can hit for a decent average. Mind you, Big Papi had a good average in his final year. I say you re-sign him. I was thinking this year in the offseason, I was like, Encarnacion's gone. Like, who do we have? And I was like, we still have Josh Donaldson. He's still that
one guy isn't going to do anything for him. One guy isn't going to make the playoffs for them.
I never said he's going to. But why just let him go away?
That's why I say you should trade him. Get some pieces for him.
Get some pieces.
Yes. So
why the heck would you completely... Stroman and Sanchez are in their prime.
They're pretty much the Leafs team a couple years ago. They had Donaldson's the Kessel of this team, and they have a couple other pieces.
So where's Stroman, Sanchez, Martin, Tulowitzki?
Martin and Tulowitzki. Tulowitzki hasn't been able to hit a ball for the past 2 years, and Russell Martin, again, he's getting old, back catch. He's not going to be able to catch this level for the foreseeable future.
I forgot that you were a
I'm sorry, just
completely read the future.
I mean, this is the oldest offense in baseball, and it's not going to get any younger. Martin's 34 years old. The guy hit 221 last year.
Were we really expecting Martin to bat?
But you're mentioning Martin among these guys that you think are going to lead them to the playoffs.
Martin is one of the best defensive catchers in the entire
for sure.
league.
But again, that's only going to get worse with age, and he's not young.
He's 34 and he did just fine this year. You think it's just going to go way down because he's 35?
No, but it will gradually begin to go down.
He's 4 months older now. He may not be the same player.
It will gradually begin to go down.
Yeah, of course it'll gradually be.
And by the time he's 36 or 37, it will not be the same.
But what won't be the same? He's hitting 220. I don't think that's going to go down much more. He's still a great defensive catcher. I don't think all of a sudden he's going to develop some type of disease where he can't catch.
Probably is not, but these guys are too.
I think
their core is too old.
You're really thinking.
You want to make?
Much
I'd make a bet. I'd bet you $20 right now they're not going to make the playoffs next year.
I said they're not a playoff team with the team they have now.
And what moves are they able to make with their given roster? They have no prospects to trade. They're pretty cash strapped.
They could have signed
They're
Doug
pretty cash strapped.
He's a great 4 ERA. And
Doug Fister's going to lead us to the playoffs, boys. That's what we need.
Look at a strong and a half.
Doug Fister had a 5 ERA last year, man, 4.88.
And his final 5 starts is 4.10 or 4.20.
Okay, final 5 starts. Let's ignore the first half.
Final
of the season.
8, I said.
Let's ignore everything else he did, but he had 8 good starts. He's going to lead us to the playoffs.
Were we really expecting J.A. Happ when he got him from Pittsburgh to go 20-4? Like, you always say, you never know what can happen. You said that with the Leafs. You never know what can happen. And now you're just saying that Doug Fister's going to suck this year. Like, if you were... I really wish I had your brain, because I'd be a millionaire off fantasy baseball. Like, it just... I don't think that you can automatically
You're living in some fantasy world where everyone's going to get better, and the team we want to win is going to win.
I never said anyone's going to get better.
We have to start facing the truth. This is not a good baseball team.
So why give away Donaldson and cry even more
because
about
there's
it?
no point in having a guy making $20 million on your roster if they're not even going to make the playoffs either way.
But, okay, so just make our team garbage for the next 5 years?
Start stockpiling young talent. Look at what the Leafs did. Exactly what the Leafs did. Now look where they are.
Look at what Houston did. They were junk, and they win the World Series.
No, Houston...
Yes. Dallas Keuchel was a draft pick.
Houston was bad, but they made first of all, they had, I read it in SI, they had one of the best scouting teams in all of baseball. So they got a ton,
scouting team. Yeah, Scouts draft players.
Okay,
they garner players
Josh
for
Donaldson
the team.
For a professional scout.
I'm not saying trade Donaldson, okay? I'm not saying that. I'm just saying if they rebuild, is it that big of a problem?
I say yes.
Why?
Because... I'll say it once more.
Everyone
listen. Everyone listen.
Look at the Cubs.
I've said it a couple times. I'm going to say it once more. Just listen. Ready?
Okay.
Tulowitzki. Russell Martin.
Wait, so what about him?
I'll tell you. Josh Donaldson. Marcus Stroman. Aaron Sanchez. Kevin Pillar.
Okay, they're all in their primes?
All these guys who are ready to win right now. We're not naming, 2 guys. Talk about the Leafs a couple years ago. Who was it? Kessel. Kessel,
Lupo.
Like these are not.
Grabowski.
And Alex. Enough? Are you kidding me?
Alex Steen.
Like these are not. Was he on the Leafs?
Yeah.
About 10 years ago.
Yeah, these are
Carlo
not.
Koliakovo?
We had no Alex. Don't talk.
That's actually a good trade they made with the Kovac.
We had no.
Shut up.
The Leafs had absolutely no one. So if the Jays team, if we were just saying Donaldson.
Man, are you kidding me? The Leafs had.
That's not what we
The
have.
Leafs rebuilt, you dingus. They rebuilt.
Okay, can I are you understanding this, or am I talking to
I
brick
understand
wall?
Co's point.
But like,
The
no.
Leafs had nothing. The Leafs had. Don't say anything, Alex. You're taking the mic. I see you dragging the mic over.
Keep talking.
You're still talking. The Leafs had Kessel and nothing else. Remember, they didn't have Babcock, so there wasn't even like that much like oh, we got Babcock to turn this team around. We had nothing. First off, fire Gibbons. He sucks. The guy sucks. The guy's absolute trash.
Very subjective.
He sits there. He does nothing. He's awful at making the lineup. It's new every day, just like Babcock. Guys don't know where they're hitting.
They
I
weren't
think
hitting
Bautista
well.
hit one for like a month there. I don't know what the heck that
One
was.
hitter.
I'm just saying, get some new scenery in there. Get Gibbons out of there. Get somebody fresh and new. Let's get Cito Gaston back. And no, I'm just kidding. Let's not get him. But get a new guy.
Alex Rios.
Get a fresh face.
Vernon Wells.
Look at what happened with the Astros. They also got a brand new fresh face in that dugout who did an outstanding job to lead them to the World Series. I'm saying, get a fresh face. It's not like the Leafs 5 years ago where they just had one Kessel. They have, I just named 7 guys. And that's not including a guy like, really underrated guy in my opinion, Danny Barnes, who is not, see, you're laughing, but Danny Barnes actually had a decently good year for a completely irrelevant bullpen guy. And there were a couple bullpen guys. Like, we got Ozuna, too. That's 8 guys. Ozuna, Pilar, Tulo, Martin, Donaldson, Stroman, Sanchez, and Smoke. Smoke coming off one of the best years of his life because he finally didn't get platooned with somebody else. 8 guys right there who are playoff baseball players. They are World Series champion baseball players. And you're just saying, let's just throw it away. Let's just suck with 8 good guys just because.
Loving the fact that our playoff hopes are hinging on Troy Tulowitzki and Russell Martin, both of whom had awful years last year. You're loving Kevin Pilar. Pilar is at best a league average hitter. At best. His defense is amazing. No question about that. But at best, he's a league average hitter. Who else did you mention in there? Smoke. Everyone's magically getting better next year except Smoke. Smoke's just going to play just as well. Like, I love Smoke. That's another guy they should trade.
I don't even get what that means.
They should trade Smoke too. Cap less on his value. He's not going to do it again.
Well, I don't think he's going to do it again.
Capitalize on the value and trade him.
Smoke?
Yeah.
That's the first thing that we've agreed on in this hour. Trade him at a high value. I don't think Smoke's going to do the same thing.
Exactly. Thank you.
But we have. I just named 7 guys who would be a extremely big piece for any team that got them, which shows that they are guys.
Actually, I have a good point. A really good point.
How
many guys on the Jays team would have been starters on Houston? Just go through it in your head. How many guys on the Jays starting lineup would have been a starter on the Houston Astros? No, think about it. You're saying these are like World Series caliber players, but how many of them would have actually started for the World Series champion? 1? Maybe 2?
2. Are you kidding me? Stroman and Sanchez would have been in.
No, we're talking. Okay, yeah.
So there's
I'm talking
2.
position players
Donaldson
right now.
Would have been ahead of Bregman.
Donaldson, there's 1.
And I would have put the year Smoke had better than Gurriel, so there's 4. That's half the guys. And
if we're talking pitching staff though,
Osuna would have been their closer, so that's 5.
Debatable.
And
look position players.
Springer ahead of Pilar.
Position players.
And who was their catcher?
Gaddis and Gaddis.
I would have taken Russell Martin.
Really? Wow.
So there's 6.
Okay, let's look at position players. There's
Pilar,
1 position player I would take, and that's Donaldson. Other than that, I'd take Houston's roster 10 days out of 10.
You're a bit of a moron then.
All right, so are you?
No, I would have taken 6 of their guys on that roster.
Well, that's
6.
That's odd. I'm talking position players. Leave the pitchers out of it. Obviously, Stroman and Sanchez are going to be better than Houston's 5th starter. Obviously.
Okay, so I win.
No.
Yes, I win.
Okay. Unfortunately, we are going to have to postpone this argument for next week.
Say it ain't so.
Oh,
I'm excited. I'm sure all the guys are excited, and I'm sure you're excited, but we do have to go. We have a group waiting. This has been the Night Sports Show. I'm Zach with Caleb, Mark, and Alex. I hope you all have a great night.
Values
Adios.
Marner way too high.
Get ready for another hour of Niagara's New Rock. Coming your way in 5, 4, 3, 2.